Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today we will be discussing new topic, that is calcium metabolism. Okay. So calcium is the most abundant minerals in our body. Okay, and this is around 1 kg to 1.5 kg of our body contains the calcium. Okay, around 1 to 1.5 kg of calcium is present in our body, and out of which there are 99% of calcium are present in the bone and the teeth. Okay, so today we will discuss the calcium metabolism in the following headings. First will be the introduction, then source, then recommended daily requirement. Okay, recommend daily allowance or daily requirement, then absorption, biochemical function, regulation, and the clinical manifestation. Same as the sodium potassium. Okay, first we'll go to in detail about the calcium. That is, calcium is the most abundant minerals in human body. Okay, and this total calcium in average adult, that is in adult body, it is around 1 to 1.5 kg. Okay, and which is nearly 99% is present in the bone and the teeth. Okay, and rest 1% or around 10 to 15 grams is distributed in the various tissues and the body fluids. Okay, the main function of calcium is helping the bone and teeth growth. Okay, helping in the bone and teeth growth. The muscles and nerves have a relatively more calcium than the other tissues. And this calcium is present in the bone mainly in the form of calcium phosphate, because calcium along with the phosphate is necessary for the formation of bone. That's why this calcium will every time present in combination with calcium and phosphate. Okay, and a small amount of carbonate, that is in case of acid base balance, there is sodium bicarbonate or calcium carbonate, like that. Okay, calcium carbonate, then hydroxide, calcium hydroxide. Okay, then fluoride, citrate, and other salts of calcium are also present. Okay, that calcium carbonate, if it is combined with the hydroxide, means calcium hydroxide. Okay, then fluoride, calcium chloride, then calcium citrate. Okay, so these are the other forms of calcium which are present outside the bone. Okay, next comes the sources. So sources are milk, and milk product is the main richest source. Okay, so these are the various sources by which we can take the calcium through our diet. Okay, to fulfill the daily requirement of our body. Okay, then third one is the recombinant daily allowance, means daily requirement, and it is divided according to the age group. Okay, in the adult, that is in the men and women, we require around 800 milligrams of calcium per day. But in case of women, in normal it is around 800 milligrams per day. But in case of pregnant women or lactating mothers or the menopause, that means after the age of 45 or 50 years of age. Okay, in the older age, that time we require more amount of calcium in our body in case of women, that is menopausal women. Okay, that is around 1.5 grams per day. Okay, then in the children, it is around uh, 0.8 to 1.2 grams per day. That is in between the age of 1 to 18. Then in the infant, it is lesser quantity is required. That is less than 1 years of age. It is required 300 to 500 milligrams, 500 grams. Okay, this is the requirement of the calcium according to the age group. Okay, next is the absorption. So mainly this calcium is absorbed in the duodenum, the first and second part of the duodenum, and there are various factors which enhance or influence the calcium absorption, and there are some factors which will inhibit the calcium absorption from the duodenum. Okay, so according to that, accordingly they are divided into group. That is hello, that is factor which influence or enhance the calcium absorption. They are vitamin D. Okay, that is active form of vitamin D is the 125 dehydroxycholic acid, or you can say the calcitriol. So vitamin D will enhance or influence the calcium absorption in our body. Okay. Then second one is the parathyroid hormone. Okay. So this parathyroid hormone will also promote the calcium absorption in our body. Okay. Then third one is the acidity. Okay, that will also enhance the calcium absorption. The lactose, presence of lactose. Then there are some amino acids, that is lysine and arginine. They will also enhance the absorption of calcium in the duodenum. Okay, and there are some factors which will inhibit the calcium absorption. They are phytates and oxalates, then high content of dietary phosphate, then alkaline medium, and high content of dietary fats. Okay, so these are the various factors which will influence or means which will promote or which will inhibit the calcium absorption. Then next one is the biochemical functions. So there are various biochemical functions. That is around 10 biochemical functions there. So there are bone and teeth development. That means development of bone and teeth. The second one is the contract. Third one, coagulation factor 4. Then that means helps in coagulation. Okay. Then fourth one is the integrity and permeability of cell membrane. That means calcium will maintain the integrity and permeability of the cell membrane. Then fifth one, it acts as a messenger. Okay, it will act as the messenger. That is second messenger, and in some case, third messenger. Okay, that means the calcium will act as the intracellular messenger for the hormonal actions. Okay, then enzymal activation. That is enzyme activation. It means calcium will required for the making the inactive form of enzyme to become active form, and that's after that that will enzyme will be effective in taking any actions. Okay, so calcium is required for the activation of enzymes. Seventh one, nerve impulse transmission. Okay, then eighth one is the secretory process. Ninth one, hormone release. That means calcium is required for the release of some type of hormones. Okay, and last one, the action on the heart. So this calcium will prolong the systolic time. Because of release of calcium, the systolic time of the heart will be increased. Okay, so one by one we'll discuss, that is bone and teeth development. Means around, as we have discussed, around 90% of calcium is required for the development of bone and teeth. Okay, and this is done by in combination with the phosphate. Okay, in combination with the phosphate, the bone and teeth development is done. Okay, then comes the muscles contraction. Okay, so muscles contraction is initiated by the binding of calcium with the troponin C, which is present in the muscles. Okay, so calcium will bind on with the troponin C, and they will initiate the contraction of muscles. Okay, then third one is the coagulation factor 4. So as you remember, if you remember, so calcium is the fourth coagulation factor. Calcium itself is a fourth coagulation factor, and it is very important for the activation of other factors, other coagulation factors, which will leads in making clot whenever there is any bleeding or over anything is there in our skin or body. So that will help in activation of other coagulation. Okay. Then fourth one is the integrity and permeability of the cell membrane. Okay. Okay. So calcium will help in maintaining the integrity or the consistency of the cell membrane, and it will also help in transport or the making the cell membrane permeable to the important constituents or important compounds, so that that part to the cell membrane hormonal
Sir,
action. Okay, sixth one, bolo.
sir, can you log class? Thank you.
Okay, sixth one, active enzymes. So there are various enzymes which are being in the inactive form, and that must be converted to active form. So and this is done by the amounts of calcium. Most examples are, it will help in activation of then hydroxylase is there, kind of dehydrogenase enzyme, then pyruvate oxidase, glycogen synthase. So these are the various enzymes required calcium converting the inactive form of those various active form. Okay. Then seven, information means it is mainly mycin, which is present in transmitter impulse. Okay. Then secretory process means this is done by the endocytosis and exocytosis. Okay, endocytosis and exocytosis, also the cell. So this is calcium ion. And okay, then ninth one is the hormone release. Okay, there are some hormones which require calcium for its release or by for its action. Okay, and last one is the action on heart. So, due to presence of calcium ion, there is prolonged systole. Okay, so these are the various functions of the calcium in our body. Okay. Next one, the explanation that you can go through the textbook. That is bone and teeth development. That a major function of calcium is to form bones and teeth. And calcium phosphate is deposited around the collagen fibers in the zone of ossifications. These are all things you can go through in the textbook. Then contraction of muscles. That is calcium interact with troponin C to trigger muscles contraction. Okay. Then uh, coagulation factor 4, that is ionized calcium, is one of the coagulation factors, and calcium ion is required in most of these reactions. That is many of the anticoagulants which are used to prevent retrocoagulation of blood. Example: oxalate, citrate, EDTA, etc. acts by binding calcium ion only. Okay. After that binding with the calcium, then only it will be functioning properly. Okay. Then only it can act, it can coagulate. Then integrity and permeability cell, that is calcium influence the membrane structures and health of water and ion across the membrane. Okay. Then messenger. Calcium acts as second messengers in exerting certain hormonal actions. For example, epinephrine in the liver glycolysis. Okay. Then it may also act as a third. Then sixth one is the enzyme and the enzymal activation. So enzymes such like pancreatic, that is the pancreatic lipase, ATPase, succinate dehydrogenase, then pyruvate kinase, this one pyruvate dehydrogenase. All these things are required the calcium for their activation. Seventh one, nerve impulse transmission. Okay, so nerve impulse occur through the release of acetylcholine from the motor end plate, which requires the presence of calcium ion. Then secretory process, that is calcium regulates microfilaments and microtubules, which is present in the cell. Okay, and that is done by the process of endocytosis, exocytosis, and motility, cell motility. Okay. Then hormone release, for the release of certain hormones from endocrine glands requires calcium, such as insulin, parathyroid hormone, and calcitonin. And last one is the action on heart. So the calcium acts on hearts and prolong the systole. These are the direct explanation of biochemical functions of calcium. Next comes the regulation. Okay, so this is very important questions which come in your university. Now, that is the regulation of calcium, or you can get the hemostasis of calcium. So okay, this is done by mainly by three hormones or three compounds, you can say. In some book, you will be given in place of vitamin D, there will be a calcitriol. Okay, it is the active form of vitamin D. And second one is the calcitriol, parathyroid hormone, and third one is the calcitonin. Okay, so these are the three compounds or three hormones by which calcium regulation is done. Okay, so first action of parathyroid hormones. We discuss about vitamin D of calcium. Okay, so you see here this is the calcitriol which is present in the liver. This is the liver. Okay. This is being is 35 hydroxycholic acid in the inactive form. Then again, this 25 hydroxycholecalciferol is converted to 1 hydroxycholecalciferol in the kidney. Okay, by the enzyme hydro.
You are audible. Now I'll sorry.
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir.
Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The slide is visible or not? Because actually there is internet problem. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The
Visible.
slide
It
is
is
visible,
visible.
sir.
Okay. So till there is increase in the plasma calcium. You have understood?
No, sir. Sir, एक बार repeat कर दीजिए, sir. Please.
Okay. So whenever you are taking the diet of this vitamin D or anything, okay. So in the liver, this cholecalciferol, which is one part of vitamin D. That means it is not an active form, but it is present in the liver. So that is converted to 25-hydroxycholecalciferol. Okay, by the enzyme hydroxylase, which is present in both kidney and the liver. Okay, so this calciferol is converted to 25-cholecalciferol. Okay, and it is transported to the kidney. In the kidney, this 25-hydroxycholecalciferol is converted to 125 dehydroxycholecalciferol by the enzyme hydroxylase, and this is activated or stimulated by the parathyroid hormone, which is secreted by the parathyroid gland. Okay, then this 125, then after the activation or the conversion of 25-hydroxycholecalciferol to the active form of vitamin D, that is 125-dihydroxycholecalciferol, which is also called as calcitriol. Okay, so that will in the intestine, that is in the intestinal mucosa, that will induce the calcium binding proteins, then calcium dependent ATPase enzyme and alkaline phosphatase. Okay, so these three compounds will helps in absorption of calcium, which we are taking through the diet. Okay, and that will be transported or circulated or sent to the circulation, into the blood circulation, and that will leads to increase in plasma calcium level. Okay, then whenever you see there is an increased plasma calcium, will send a feedback inhibition. Okay, this plasma calcium, increased plasma calcium level acts as a feedback inhibition, and that will send the stimulation to the parathyroid gland, and there it will block the production of parathyroid gland, so that this parathyroid gland or parathyroid hormone cannot stimulate the hydroxylase enzyme, which is present in the kidney, to convert, that is 25 cholecalciferol to 125 dihydroxycholecalciferol. So like that, vitamin D and parathyroid hormone are correlated between each other. That means these two will help in maintaining the blood calcium level in our body. Okay, this is the action of vitamin D and parathyroid hormone on regulation of calcium. Understood? समझ में आ गया?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so next one. Just a minute, slide must be. Okay. Just a minute, network is disturbed. Okay, so
Sir, you are not audible, sir.
Just a minute, it is this network issue is there. Okay, so slide is not visible. Okay, next will be the next action I will discuss because it is not visible, slide is not visible, so I will dictate all the things. Okay, so now we have understood the what are the how the vitamin D and calcium. Okay, no, it is working. Okay, how the vitamin D and the parathyroid hormone will regulate the blood calcium level. Next is the what is the how the calcitonin will regulate the level of calcium. Okay, so this is the action of calcitonin is just opposite to the parathyroid hormone. Okay, so it will helps in decreasing the blood calcium level because parathyroid hormone will helps in increase in the blood calcium level, but it is calcitonin has the opposite function as the parathyroid hormone, so it will diminize or decrease the blood calcium level, and this is done by promoting the calcification of bone by increasing the activity of osteoblasts, then decreasing the bone resorption and increasing the excretion of calcium in the urine. Okay, so by these three mechanisms, calcitonin will decrease the blood calcium level. Okay, so these three are the regulation of blood calcium in our body. Understood? Have you understood this regulation? Because this is very important question. It may come as a short notes, and calcium itself is a long question, so you have to write all the things. Okay. Then next is the clinical manifestation. Okay, so normal blood calcium level is around 9 to 11 milligram per deciliter. Okay, and out of which 50% are of ionized form. That means they are functionally active. Then 40% are bound to the proteins, that is bound to the albumins and the other proteins to help in the transportation function. Okay, then 10% is in the combination with bicarbonate and phosphate to enhance the acid-base balance. Okay, and there are two type of clinical condition, that is hypercalcemia and hypocalcemia. So hypercalcemia means increase in blood calcium level, okay, above the normal level, and this hypercalcemia happens in the following cases, that is parathyroid tumors, then metastasis of bone, then bone tumors, multiple myeloma, then Paget's disease of bone. Okay, these are the various causes of increased calcium level in the blood. Okay, and signs are Chabok's sign. That means Chabok's sign means the that is in the Chabok's sign there is a contraction of facial muscles. Okay, facial muscles which provokes by lightly tapping. Whenever you tap the facial muscles in your face near the zygomatic arc, okay, so that will leads to contraction of facial muscles. And that sign is called as Chvostek's sign. Okay. For in detail, you have to read you by yourself. That what do you mean by Chvostek sign? It is been taught in your. It will be taught in your anatomy class also. Okay. They are the sign symptoms. Then second sign is Troisius sign. Troisius sign. Okay. This is also called as latent tetany. Okay. It is also called as latent tetany. Okay. So these are the various causes and sign and symptoms of the hypercalcemia. Okay. Causes are parathyroid tumor, metastasis of bone, that is bone cancer, you can say in other words. Then bone tumor, multiple myeloma. Okay, multiple myeloma, then Paget's disease of bone. Okay, that will leads to increase in blood calcium level. Second one is the hypocalcemia. So there is a decreased calcium level in the blood, that is below 9 gram per deciliter. Okay, and this happens in the following disease like rickets, osteomalacia, then decreased parathyroid hormone, that decreased concentration of parathyroid obviously. Okay, then osteoporosis, and this osteoporosis happens in menopausal women, that is the old age. Okay, so this causes the decreased calcium level in your blood, and that condition is called as hypocalcemia, and the symptoms are convulsion, arrhythmia, then tetany, spasm, and stridor. Okay, so these are the various symptoms of hypocalcemia. Okay, so this is all about the calcium metabolism. Anybody have any doubt?
No, sir.
Next will be the phosphate. Very small topic. So we'll finish this today. So the phosphate, as you know, this phosphates has function in combination with the calcium only. It cannot act separately. So this calcium and phosphate is mainly present in the bone. That is also in the combination of calcium and phosphate. That is calcium phosphate. And around 1 kg, or you can say the 100 grams of phosphates are present in our body. Okay, and out of which 80% of calcium is present in combination with phosphate in the bone and teeth. Okay, and 10% in the muscles and blood, which is associated with the protein, carbohydrate, and lipids. Then 10% in the various chemical compounds. Okay, so these are the basic introduction of phosphate, and this phosphate will also helps in nerve muscles transmission, that is for the action of nerves and for the action of muscles, that is muscles contractions. Okay,
सर
Then-
स्लाइड चेंज नहीं हो रहा है.
नेट स्लो है इसलिए स्लाइड नहीं दिख रहा है तुम लोगों को. ठीक है, नेट डिस्टर्ब है आज. Okay, I will share the
Okay,
slide so that you can go through, because network issue is there, so I cannot do anything. Just I can explain all the things. Okay, so you have any doubt, you can ask me. Okay, so there are sources. Sources are same as the calcium, like milk, then green leafy vegetables, milk, then milk products, then meat, eggs. These are the various sources of phosphorus. Then basic requirement will be also same as the daily requirement of calcium intake. How much calcium you will take, that much phosphorus is also there. Same, okay, because the source is the same. So recombinant daily allowance will be the same as the calcium. Then next one is the absorption. So same as the calcium, phosphorus is also absorbed in the small intestine, that is the duodenum, along with the calcium. Okay. So whenever there is a normal calcium absorption in your body, then the phosphorus absorption will be also normal. So they will act simultaneously. Okay, whenever the calcium absorption is affected, then simultaneously phosphorus absorption is also affected. Okay, next one is a biochemical function. So function is also somewhat same as calcium. That is formation of bone and teeth, then formation of high energy compounds. That is ATP. That ATP is there. Then pyruvate dehydrogenase. All these things require phosphate. Okay. Then role in metabolism. Then that means phosphorus is the constitution of many coenzyme like FMN. There is FMN is there. Then FAD, NAD, NADP. So these all are the coenzyme which will stimulate the or which will help in metabolism of various compounds. That is like glucose metabolism, then lipid metabolism. So this coenzyme is necessary for the functioning of proper metabolism of that particular compound. So they have role in metabolism. Okay. Then phosphorus play an important role in metabolic reaction in the form of these coenzymes. Okay, that is the role of role in metabolism. Then fourth one, formation of nucleic acid. So as you know, nucleic acids contains nitrogenous base, then sugar and the phosphate. Okay, so this phosphorus is required for the formation of nucleic acids. Okay, that nucleotide and nucleosides. I have taught you in the previous class a nucleotide and what is mean by nucleotide and what do you mean by nucleosides. Okay, so they require phosphate for the formation of various nucleic acid, that is DNA, RNA. Then fifth one, formation of membranes. Okay, so the phosphorus participate in the formation of biomembranes in the form of phospholipids. As you know, this cell membrane contains the lipids that is in the form of phospholipids. So this phosphate plus lipids leads to formation of phospholipids. So they have function in or role in formation of membranes. Then sixth one is the maintenance of pH. Okay, so inorganic phosphate exists as hydrogen phosphate and dihydrogen phosphate. For in detail, this is taught. This will be taught in your acid-base balance class. Okay, so for the function of this one hydrogen phosphate and dihydrogen phosphate, they require the inorganic phosphate. Okay, and they constitute a buffer pair and helps in maintaining the pH. Okay, and this buffer is most predominant in intracellular fluid. Okay. Next one is the clinical manifestation. Okay, that is hyperphosphatemia and hypophosphatemia. This condition, hypervitaminosis D, then acromegaly and diabetes mellitus. Okay, these are the various conditions in which there is increase in serum phosphorus level. Okay, and the normal level of this one serum phosphate is around 2.5 to 4.5. In some book you will see that is around 2.5 to 6 or 5.5 like that. Okay, so it is around 2.5 to 4.5 milligram per deciliter. So whenever there is an increase in phosphate level above the normal level, that is above 4.5 milligram per deciliter, that condition is called as hyperphosphatemia, and the causes are chronic renal failure, hypoparathyroidism, hypervitaminosis D, that is hypervitamin D, and acromegaly and diabetes mellitus. Okay. Then hypophosphatemia, that is low serum phosphate level, that is below 2.5 milligram per deciliter, and these are seen in rickets, osteomalacia, hyperparathyroidism, steatorrhea, Fanconi syndromes, and familial hypophosphatemic rickets. That is renal rickets, or you can say the vitamin D resistance ricket. Okay, so these are the various causes by which there are various causes which will leads to decrease in phosphate level in the serum. Okay, this is all about for today. So anybody having any doubt?
No doubt.
So now you can leave the class, and if anyone has any doubt, they can ask now.
This conference will now be recorded.